Okay, so we're all familiar with the Meyer material and the contact reports and many books. We've all been doing this for a while, and I think it's time that we step up and, teach people what we know. So I'm going to present the best way that I found, the best use of your time that will reach the most amount of people. And I've been very successful, and I just started doing it a few minutes a day. And so I hope you listen and consider what I have to say here. Now, the Playaran committee that deals with us have been deeply concerned. They've deeply concerned itself with the near and farther future, and thus has come to the conclusion that it is of most urgent necessity that the members of FIGU, with which not only the core group, but also the Landesgruppen, Studiengruppen, and Interessengemeinschaften, that's us, and the individual members are meant and should be active on the internet. This first and foremost in regard to peace, overpopulation, and the spiritual teaching in general. Now, along with this letter, they asked us to spread the peace symbol and the overpopulation symbol, which Nathaniel shared in his earlier presentation. But we really need to spread more than just two little pictures. We need to actually talk about what's going on. In Contact Report 780, Ptah said, as you know, we are not allowed to enter our great library, but we are offered the possibility of getting any information from it if we feel we need it. So I learned that today your task is to address the earth human beings through the internet, through certain information given in the form of conversations, etc., but also in the form of papers, by which I mean articles and the contact reports, etc., as written in the old predictions in the library on ERA. Thus, via the internet, the necessary information material should actually be disseminated for reading, nothing more, for it should be not be animating, but informative, and in such a way that the earth human being reading this information begins to cultivate independent thoughts, and thus, in the course of time, finds the effective truth, which is arranged very far from any religiosity and sectarianism. Word of mouth information is also to be done, through which those earth human beings will become aware of the teaching who really want to think for themselves and find the way to the teaching. But everything should be not be such that it equals a conviction, but everything should always only be informative. Consequently, it should only appeal to those earth human beings who understand and know how to use their intellect and reason independently, and therefore are not believers. So I propose Quora. Quora is an American social question and answer website based in California, Northern California, started in 2010. Users can collaborate by editing questions and commenting on answers that have been submitted by other users. As of 2020, the website was visited by 300 million users a month. It's probably more than that now. So there's a lot of people out there asking questions and looking for answers. And I think that we have answers that I know we have answers that people are looking for. This is not Twitter, where people just yell at each other and curse at each other all day. This is not Facebook, where people share pictures of their kittens and puppies. This is people asking questions, and anyone can answer them. Anyone can ask any question, and anyone can answer it. They do have strict rules where you have to be nice, and you have to be polite, and not insult people. So it's not preaching and it's not proselytizing. People out there all over the world in multiple languages want to know what you think. And these are people from all over the world, including America and Canada and all over, in Germany. And you can even do it in Spanish or German. You can practice your German doing it. But the vast majority of users are in English. So all of you are able to use Quora and share your knowledge with the world. And you should be doing this with 3 exceptions. I will say Michael Horn, because number 1, he already has a Quora account. And number 2, he does enough with his radio show and blog and video interviews. But he does have a Quora account, and he updates it every so often. Eddie Martin from California used Quora and was very, very successful. He probably got 1 million views or more. And I'll talk about his style of answering questions later. And Carol Pearl, you are exempt because you need to be able to type really fast and copy and paste things really fast. You gotta be really savvy. But maybe by the end of this year, with enough tutoring from Mikael, you'll be able to use Quora too. But I really think everyone is able to do this. If you can post on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you can post on Quora too. So there are other people around the world who know about Billy Meyer. There's not a lot of them. Here's a few. Daniel Levy, he's from the Midwest somewhere, in Indiana maybe. There's a Daphne Green in Australia, Tyler Rutland in Canada, and there's a few other people. There's a guy in the Northwest United States. And and I just found a woman named Maria, who's from Austin, Texas. So there are other people, but we need more. We need to spread this message. You all know from Nathaniel's presentation that there's an energy crisis, there's an overpopulation crisis, there's, all kind of Ausartungen, and we need to inject our knowledge into the public narrative. Now, like any other social media site, when you say something online, people are going to disagree with you. And I will just leave this one quote from the Ohm in Canon 32. To the slanderous speeches of unrighteous ones, the dignity of a righteous one does not diminish. Quite the contrary. Slanderous speeches against righteous ones increase their success and the dignity of the righteous ones, as also the value of the precious gem is not diminished through polishing, but enhances its brilliance and its value. So if someone does, criticize you and say, oh, the population's not 9.25 billion, or, oh, there's no evidence of UFOs and aliens on Earth, you can do a couple things. You can ignore them, number one. You can reply to them and say, no, well, that's not my experience. You can downvote a comment. You can mute or block a user, and you can report a comment to the moderation if they, insult you or threaten you or anything. That's very rare. People are pretty nice on Quora, but we are in a controversial subject here with, reincarnation and aliens and time travel and all this stuff. So there are going to be people out there who aren't, in agreement with you. That's okay. And you want to choose the best questions to answer. You want to answer serious questions and not silly questions. And from Ohm again, Canon 32, a word is always to be uttered where it bears visible fruit and lasts, as paint is not applied to oily, but to clean surfaces, so that it adheres to and lasts. So you really want your information to stick in the right places. When you sign up, they ask you to join groups you are knowledgeable about. There are hundreds of groups you can join. Just choose the groups that apply to the creation energy teaching. Choose groups that you are knowledgeable about. This could be spirituality, overpopulation, nature, reincarnation, UFOs, aliens, history, books, meditation, psychology, life advice, and the first and foremost in regard to peace, overpopulation, and the spiritual teaching in general. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of topics you can subscribe to. And when you answer a question, you just want to be clear and concise, and really know what you're talking about. So Billy wrote recently, what I wish the human beings, especially all FIGU members, so all core group members and passive members, patron members, and all FIGU friends, all FIGU friendly and good-minded people, that they all apply the following points for the good of themselves and their way of life without strife, hatred, revenge, and retaliation, but in a clear mind, considered logic and reason. And this applies really to anything you say or do in public or online. You want to tell the truth, and you want to follow these basic guidelines. Number one, with regard to every justification, the correct word always applies in the first place. Two, in the second place, the correct behavior. E.g., let everything that can be used in this manner in every situation be done in the spirit of justice and peace, so that it may create clarity, every misunderstanding be resolved, and neither strife, nor grudge, revenge, nor enmity arise. So we're leaving the anger out of our communication. Three, always be open and honest about your word, your attitude, and your correct behavior. Four, Do not take part in public demonstrations as an anonymous human being, and do not hide as an anonymous human being in the mass of shouting and destroying demonstrations and other like-minded elements. 5, always speak the truth and defend it as it is due. 6, never be confused in your words and never let anything be foisted on you, but stand firm on what you say is true and corresponds to the truth. 7, be gladly instructed in a matter, but never deviate from what you know to be certain and effective truth. 8, first, use the power of your ability of constructive thought and reflection before you make a decision, act, say something, or answer a question, because your own conscious and relevant thoughts and reflections not only testify to your attentiveness and alertness to what arises, but also to the value of what you have really thought. So think before you speak, think before you act. This applies in life as well as social media. So my process of answering on Quora is choose the best, most relevant questions that stick to the topic, peace over population, that kind of thing. And just ignore the other questions. You can write a sentence and add a picture. I think that's really the shortest way to get to answer as many questions as possible. You can always write more if you want. And then look through it. Once you've written it, does it need more to add to it? And then review it, look for spelling errors. You want to have perfect spelling, perfect grammar before you post it. And then make sure it's not too controversial. There are plenty of controversial topics you can answer. And I would really recommend everybody avoid politics. Avoid. Don't get into politics on Quora. It doesn't go anywhere. I don't think it really goes anywhere unless you come at it from a very completely neutral point of view. Sometimes just you start doing something and you figure out, I don't want to get pushback or start controversy, just delete it and move on. So once you post it, look at your answer, make sure it makes sense, read it over again and again, and then, move on. Look at other answers, what other people are saying. You can upvote them if you agree with them, you can downvote them if you strongly disagree, and you can ignore everything else. And then you have the possibility to share the answer with your followers or groups. I usually don't share, but if it's a really good answer and I give a lot of information, I spend a lot of time crafting the answer, then I might share it with certain groups that I'm subscribed to. So my style is fast. I just rattle them off as fast as I can. This is not a big time crunch, and I don't want the excuse that none of you have enough time in the day, because you can spend 5 minutes or less doing this every day and still get results over time. I do maybe one sentence, one image, and then I'm done. And sometimes I write a couple more sentences if it's really a sincere question. Sometimes I do a lot of images. Sometimes I post UFO photos. Sometimes I post spiritual teaching links to FIGU Canada videos. Sometimes I post Michael Horn videos or links. And your style will be adapted, to your ability. Tyler Rutland's style is, he just gushes from the heart. He writes all words, and he writes several paragraphs, and people follow along, and he writes little stories, and he gets a lot of positive responses. Eddie Martin, who's no longer using Quora but was very successful, he writes one answer and he just copy and pastes it wherever it's applicable. So he wrote a couple paragraphs, a couple videos, and a little bit more, and he just saved it in a Word document, and then he just pastes it over and over and over. So you don't have to spend time of thinking about the same things over and over again and typing them all down. You save it in a file that has your notes and your links, like a cheat sheet, and you copy and paste it and you're done. So it doesn't take a lot of time. I will put my own cheat sheet in the chat later after the presentation, and you can use it. It's links to FIGU, it's links to YouTube, and I write a sentence or two, about reincarnation, and then I paste the link to a FIGU presentation of reincarnation or whatever. I started tracking my progress. I started about 3 years ago, just in my spare time, a few minutes every day. You can use your cell phone and get the app if you are like Mikhail, who lives on his cell phone, or you can sign up on Quora.com, and you just need a username and password to get started, and you can use your desktop. I think it's a little easier to use your laptop or your desktop where you have a full keyboard where you can type easier. But if you're also, have spare time and you're out, waiting in the doctor's office or wherever you're waiting, and you can use your cell phone, you just take a few minutes and answer a few questions or upvote some other people. Now, this was from 2019. And in the first few months, I was very excited when I got 50,000 views. And you can see here the number of views. And a couple of years ago, I was happy when I got 7,000 views in 1 week. I thought that was a big deal. I think it's great if you answer one question, you get 100 views. And right about now, I'm at 1.74 million views and almost 10,000 upvotes. And you can see here my top answers here. I'll just read this. Realistically, could we ever really have face-to-face contact with an extraterrestrial species? I did one sentence and 1 or 2 pictures, and I got 74,000 views. Do you really think that aliens from other planets exist, or do you say they're military craft? I answered that, maybe with a few pictures. I don't really remember what I said. 41,000 views. And then, there's others. So anyone can do this, and you can do it too, but we have to support each other and work together. By that, I mean, when you sign up, we have to follow each other, find each other, and follow each other, and upvote your friends' answers that you agree with to show them support. Downvote answers that are untrue, like there are questions about Billy Meyer on Quora, and there is people posting false information about all kinds of things, and you have the right to downvote that if you disagree. It's okay. That's how it works. If someone attacks one of your friends in a comment, you should downvote that, and they'll get downvoted out of sight. So if we support each other and we work together, I mean, we really could reach, a huge amount of people. And you want to get this information out, and we want to mitigate the problems that we know are coming in the next months and years ahead. This is a tremendous way to share what we know and really reach a lot of people. Now, if someone says something that answers a question and they get many downvotes, their answer will be pushed out of sight. So that's why it's important to support your friends, your other people who are posting about the spiritual teaching, and give them upvotes, because it lends more credibility and more people see what you wrote. And safety in numbers, really. We kind of need to back each other up. So why do we need to support each other? Because if you don't support each other, the world doesn't see you. If we don't work together, the world doesn't learn about Billy Meyer or all of this great information. I used an Alexa website ranking to look up the rank in traffic of about 12 to 20 million websites in the world. So, most websites are in the number 10 or 12 million rank, or 15 million. And my Billy Meyer is at 4 million, my Greg Dougal is at 3 million, FIGU.org is at 2 million, Future of Mankind is in the top million, Dave Flybog at 415,000. This guy Stillness in the Storm, who used to do alternative esoteric stuff, he's at 181, and Quora is number 90. So Quora gets 300 million people a month. I think it's a good place to sow your seeds of wisdom. The good news is you can reach tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and maybe even millions of people working together. And once you answer a question once, it stays there, and the views build over time. So someone many months from now will see it and upvote it, or even maybe a year from now, we'll see what you wrote and learn something, and you can really affect a person's life to the positive. You can give this great advice and just say where you got it from, or make it up yourself, and you can really change someone's life and make a positive impact on a lot of people. The bad news is you never know how much they learn and take away from the information. You never know how much it really affects them unless they upvote and share a comment with you, unless they tell you. And views are not necessarily people. So views are not necessarily visitors. It's how many times your answer has been seen, but not necessarily completely read or understood. Quora will not last forever, and their rules can change. So make the most of it now. That is my call to action. And finally, again from the Ohm, a couple more quotes. If you make every day a time of sowing, then you can harvest every day. Postpone nothing until tomorrow, for tomorrow you will find something new to take care of. And the sower quietly sows his seeds. If man does the same with wisdom, he is well advised. So I'm going to give you a brief site tour and then open up to questions. Okay, so there's a home page. Let me expand this a little bit. It's sort of like your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed, and there's questions and posts and all kinds of things here. And up top here is where you click to answer questions, and people can send you requests to answer questions. I'll just read a couple here. Let me find what do you do? Is it right to know, my right to know which of the COVID vaccines that will be given to me? Okay, COVID, I would stay away from. It's very controversial, but you can answer whatever you want. Does the absence of belief equate to a belief in and of itself? What topics will a guide to human knowledge have from an alien perspective? I mean, how perfect is this question right here? You could all come up with your own answer to that. Here's German questions. Findest du die Wahrheit rätselhafter als die Realität? I don't know what all that means, but I saw Wahrheit in there and reality. And it's a good way to practice your German too. You open a DeepL tab, you copy and paste it, and you translate it, your question and answer, and you answer in German. How tall are aliens supposed to be? So I have solar system, extraterrestrial intelligence, I have meditation, and here's some topics: human behavior, boom, follow that one. Education, happiness, boom, there you go. How do I be happy? You can share a quote from one of Billy's books, or you can just make up what you want. Life lessons. There's countless. Look at this. Jesus, is Jesus an Egyptian god? There's millions of questions on here. Allah, Christian theology. Oh, look at this. Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Cosmology, right? Do you agree with NASA? So, and then over here you have notifications up top. This little bell is the bell notifications. You're gonna have people. Here we go. Someone upvoted me here. Brigitte, merci. So Billy Meyer, Andrew Diltz, and then there's people that just share comments, ask you for questions and all that. Right here where your little symbol is, if you scroll down, you're going to find your content and your stats, your statistics, and that's where you can view your view count and your questions and answers here. They kind of changed the format, but you can track some of your progress. And this little globe here is where you can choose a different language. And here's my Deutsch. So here is the German Quora, and it's in probably 50 different languages, Quora. So außerirdische Leben, Zufriedenheit, and all kinds of stuff. So that's the basic tour, and I will open it up to questions.